everyone, it's Patrick here. Welcome to my channel. And in this channel, we're going to be talking about things I'm into, including politics. I really like politics, so I just want to do detailed analysis of these election because I've seen a lot of other channels that analyze the election, but none by as much detail as I would like. And so this channel is officially nonpartisan, so I will not be sharing my political views on this channel. So don't expect any opinion-based commentary, at least about the issues. This is supposed to be nonpartisan. If you can tell who I voted for based on what I say, well, that's cool, but I'm not going to be saying it out loud. So to start, in this video, I'm going to be analyzing 5 states: Wyoming, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Washington, and Virginia, as well as DC. I am not going A to Z, I'm going Z to A because California is still counting votes. So I'm going to be using the New York Times to do these videos because they have, in my opinion, the best election coverage and results. So to start, let me look at Wyoming. Obviously, Wyoming's one of the reddest states in the country, so Donald Trump won it with 72.3% of the vote to Kamala Harris's 26.1%. If you see, all the results are in. The vote count has been certified, and Trump wins all but one county, Teton County up here, which was won by Kamala Harris. It's because it's a very liberal county with a lot of outsiders moving in. Donald Trump flipped one county, Albany County, which is home to the University of Wyoming, and he won it 51-47. That's a country that Joe Biden won in 2020. It shifted 6 points Republican because Joe Biden won it. See, a lot of Republicans shift. Some of these small rural counties shifted slightly Democrat, but that doesn't really matter. So Donald Trump wins Wyoming. Very red state. You look at the Senate, John Barrasso absolutely demolishes Scott Morrow, 75.7 to 24.3, over 50 percentage points, overperforming Donald Trump, getting more votes than him, while Morrow underperformed Harris. He still didn't win Teton County, but he got closer than Trump did, and he won Albany County by double digits, and pretty much everywhere else by a huge landslide margin. So John Barrasso, pretty popular. Harriet Hageman is pretty famous because she primaried Liz Cheney, who later endorsed Kamala Harris and didn't help her win. In Harriet Hageman wins 71 to Kyle Cameron's 23.4. I can't tell if Kyle's a man or a woman. Doesn't really matter. Harriet Hageman has a lower percentage and less votes than them, but Kyle Cameron got less votes than both of them. Once again, Hageman wins most of the counties except Teton. State legislature, state senate, and house, both very strongly Republican. It's Wyoming. What do you expect? And this passed too, so not very interesting. I mean, it is Wyoming. Sorry about that. Need a drink of water. Remember to drink your water, guys. It's good for you. Stay hydrated. Next, we're going to look at Wisconsin, which is a very interesting one. This was one of the big 7 swing states. Both candidates invested lots of money into it. And ultimately, it was Donald Trump that came out in front. He got 49.71 to Kamala Harris's 48.85. He won the state by about 30,000 votes. Very narrow. Wisconsin has been under 1% in every election since 2000, with the exception of Obama's 2 wins. So this is par the course for the state of Wisconsin. As you see, most of the state moved right, except the WOW counties. These are very traditional conservative counties, but ever since the suburbs have started moving towards the Democrats, these counties have started to shift slowly towards them, seen on this map. The Driftless area, traditionally Democrat. Obama did very well here, but the Republicans have been improving massively here, and that continues in 2024. So Donald Trump wins. It was the narrowest win of the big 7 swing states, which a lot of people didn't think was going to happen, but it was. It was his narrowest win, and very close. In the Senate, Tammy Baldwin, incumbent Democrat and the first lesbian woman to serve in the Senate, she's going to win her third term over Eric Hovde, 49.38 to 48.52. Baldwin running slightly above Harris, and Hovde running well behind Donald Trump. His independent got a bunch of votes. She wins by a lot more narrower margin than in the past. A lot of these counties down here, she used to win, but not anymore. Partially because Trump's on the ballot. I bet if she ran when Trump wasn't on the ballot, she'd probably win a few of these counties because she is a well-known incumbent, but Trump's coattails got Hovde very close, but not quite over the line. And as you see, she actually did worse than Harris in some of these wow counties, but obviously much better in rural Wisconsin. As you see in Grant County, Harris lost by 18, Baldwin lost by 14. Part of the course, a lot of voters in the wow counties are very anti-Trump, but they're fine with the rest of the GOP. Well, a lot of rural voters don't like Kamala Harris because, California liberal and all that, but are willing to vote for their hometown girl, Tammy Baldwin. House, not much has changed. Wisconsin is a very gerrymandered state. Republicans drew the map very favorably for them, so Mark Pocan and Gwen Moore held on to their seats. While all the other seats stay with the GOP. Well, Derek Van Orden didn't do so great considering how his district has shifted. He won by 2.8, which isn't terrible, but could definitely be a district to look out for in the future, or against Rebecca Cook. In the legislature, Wisconsin did have to redistrict because courts ruled that their map was unfavorable for the Democrats, which it definitely was. The Republicans had close to a supermajority in a 50-50 state. Redrew the maps, and you see the Democrats got a lot closer. So Governor Evers is going to have an easier time when he comes back, and these chambers could flip in 2 years. And require citizenship to vote, easily passed. Didn't win Dane County. That's pretty obvious. Dane County, very, very liberal. Home of the University of Wisconsin. They didn't go for it, but everywhere else went for it, including Milwaukee, by pretty large margins. So they're going to require citizenship to vote. I mean, you already have to be a citizen to vote, so I'm not sure how much is going to change, but there we go. And then there's a special election. It doesn't really matter. It's pretty much the same as the normal election. It's just technicalities. This was Mike Gallagher's seat that he vacated up in the Green Bay area. So there we go. Wisconsin, very interesting, very competitive state. Next, we're going to look at West Virginia. Donald Trump won West Virginia. The days of this being a blue state back in the Bill Clinton area is long over. Donald Trump got 70% of the vote there. Kamala Harris only 28.1. He also hung on to Monongalia County, home of West Virginia University, in a county that's pretty left trending generally, but it wasn't enough for Kamala Harris to win it this year. Here, as pretty much everywhere trended right. Pretty much the whole state, not by much. Donald Trump, in all of these counties, Donald Trump has already kind of maxed out his gains. He already was winning them by so much, but they still shifted right. There's still room to go. Jim Justice also won. This is Joe Manchin's seat. Joe Manchin, Democrat senator, oftentimes received the ire of his party for voting against them, but it makes sense based on how conservative the state is. Jim Justice, the popular governor of West Virginia, well known for his little dog named Baby Dog, very famous, brought him to the Republican National Convention. Pretty cute. You see Justice wins by slightly less than Trump does, as he runs about a point behind Trump, and Glenn Elliott, the Democrat, runs a bit behind Harris. Obviously a landslide. In the governor's race, Patrick Morrisey wins against Steve Williams. I believe Patrick Morrisey is the attorney general. He wins by pretty narrow, not a narrow margin, narrow for West Virginia. I mean, Williams almost won a few counties. Not quite, though, and kept it a little closer. He got over 30% of the vote, which is respectable. He's the highest Democrat vote getter, and Morrisey's the lowest Republican vote getter, so he can hang his hat on that. But obviously, it's West Virginia in 2024, so Morrissey won easily. House races, not super interesting. Riley Moore, the son of incumbent Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito, easily won the second, and including 8-point win in Magnolia County, which is pretty good. And Carol Miller hung on down in the first. State legislature, very heavily Republican, not much of a surprise here. And prohibit medically assisted suicide, looks like that's going to pass pretty narrowly. So no assisted suicide in West Virginia. They're not Canada, if you know what I mean. And the other races, around 70% for Republicans. It's West Virginia. Quick look at D.C. D.C., obviously Kamala Harris is going to win 92.5% of the vote to Donald Trump's 6.6. It's D.C., it's the nation's capital. Always Democrat by around this margin. Jen Harris actually slightly improved on Biden's percentage, but I believe Trump did as well. Not much of a surprise here. And ranked choice voting passed with 73% of the vote, which is very impressive, given ranked choice voting did pretty terribly on the ballot this year. But not in D.C. They really want ranked choice voting there. Not that it's really going to matter much. You see all these races. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. City council, yeah. It's D.C. They're going to vote Democrat. Washington. Washington is a state that didn't shift right that much. It barely shifted right at all. Kamala Harris won 57.6% of the vote. Donald Trump 39.3% of the vote. So about an 18.3% win. Washington, very safe blue. A lot of counties shifted more Democrat. Former bellwether, Collin County, not a bellwether anymore, shifted 4.5% towards Kamala Harris, despite Trump winning the presidential election, as you know, unless you're living under a rock. Lots of these counties shifted. It left. If King County shifted a bit right, most of eastern Washington shifted right. Well, the whole country pretty much shifted right, but a lot of these counties up here shifted left. So Washington, pretty safe blue. Senate, Maria Cantwell, incumbent Democrat senator, won pretty handily. 18.6, very slightly more than Harris did. Both Cantwell and Garcia got more than their presidential candidates, and she won. Bob Ferguson is replacing retiring Governor Jay Inslee to become the next governor of Washington, and he won pretty handily too, 11.2, narrower than the other races. Washington tends to give a little bit higher votes to their Republican governor candidates than Senate candidates, but it wasn't enough. Dave Reichard can hang his hat on doing decent, but he still lost. In the House, Marie Gluskamp Perez won her seat by 4% over Joe Kent. This was a shock flip in 2022. Joe Kent successfully primaried Jamie Harua Butler. We'll see more about her later. And in a seat that traditionally leans Republican, but he lost in a shocker to Marie Gluskamp Perez. And Perez, he rematched Perez again, and she won by 4 percentage points. A pretty good win. The only other remotely competitive Democrat race is Kim Schreider, who won by 8 against Carmen Gores. Schreider was elected first, I believe, in 2018 during that blue wave, flipping the seat, and she's going to hold the seat. And Republicans will hold 2 seats. Democrats will hold 8. Dan Newhouse, who voted to impeach Trump, getting a narrow win over the other Republican. Check the map here. It doesn't have a map. That's kind of annoying. I want to see what counties he did well in. Legislature, very easily Democrat. Still a few races not called yet, but very easy Democrat. Washington voted to ensure access to natural gas. 52 to 48. I'm sure Republicans are probably happy about that. It did great in the most Republican counties. Lost in the most Democrat counties, but narrowly was able to pass. These are just taxes, and employees will not be allowed to opt out of WA Care, so win for the Washington care system. Statewide races, all Democrat by 55 to 59%, except land commissioner Dave Upthegrove beats Jamie Harua Butler. This was almost two Republicans in this race. Back in the jungle primary, two Republicans led the race for a lot of the night, and people are thinking Democrats will be shut out at that. But Dave up the Grove was able to get into that top two and ended up getting a narrow win against Jamie Harua Butler, who's considered more moderate GOP. Former Congresswoman got primaried by Joe Kent. This stuff is kind of whatever. Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, if you're interested, here you go. A lot of uncontested races. The last state is Virginia. There's a lot of hype pre-election about Virginia. Lots of reports of high Republican and low Democrat turnout, and it shifted right pretty significantly. Kamala Harris won it by 5.2, which is less than Joe Biden's 10-point victory back in 2020. Northern Virginia shifts very hard right. Shifts very right. Lots of minorities shifted right, Hispanics, Asians. While in the Richmond area, a few places actually shifted left, including Chesterfield County, big suburban county, mostly white, has been rapidly trending blue. This was a red county even as late as the Obama days, but Kamala Harris won it by 8. So still a decent victory for Harris. Is 5.2%. Virginia is likely not heading into swing state category again. It's likely going to stay blue if this is the best Trump can do, and a very good year for him. Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's running mate, wins by 8.2 percentage points. He wins by more than Harris did. He beats Hung Kao. Hung Kao is ran against Jennifer Wexton back in 2022 for House and lost, and he tried again for Senate against Tim Kaine, and to no one's surprise, he lost again. And obviously Tim Kaine, very well known. He was the governor of Virginia. Now he's the senator. Very well known figure in Virginia. He's going to be very tough to beat. Hung Kao put up a challenge, but fell short. No flips in the House. In the 7th, Abigail Spanberger retired. She's running for governor next year. So she retired from the House, and Eugene Vindman held her seat against Derek Anderson by about 2.2 percentage points. Jen Kiggins, who flipped that seat, defeating Elaine Luria back in 2022. She held on by 4 percentage points. Nothing else was that competitive. And, this ballot measure. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.